As San Antonio schools are getting ready to welcome students back to class over the next 2 weeks, districts are in the process of creating their own cell phone ban.
Law banning cell phones in school.
Prohibiting personal electronic devices.
Soon enforce a cell phone ban.
Welcome back, JAGs. I'm Laura Andrade. On our first episode of the year, we will see what students think about mirrors outside the restrooms, and of course, how students are reacting to the state cell phone ban. Plus, we have JAG Sports with highlights from Meet the JAGs. This is JAG TV. Last year, students had to get used to the doors of the restroom being wide open, or sometimes even just locked up. This year, admin is trying a new approach by placing the mirrors in the hallway.
But we as admin felt like kids were spending too much time in the restrooms, not only during the period, but in passing period. And it became more of a distraction than what it was trying to accomplish there. We were seeing both boys and girls congregating there, or making a whole scene about just, hey, we're going to be in the restroom for 5 minutes instead of going to the restroom, checking your hair, and going out. It became a hangout place, and so that was one of our main reasons to see if we could streamline the process and get kids back into class.
But for some students, the bathroom is the ideal place to touch up, and this change is inconvenient and really just plain awkward.
I find it kind of odd and unusual because if you're just drinking water, you're just going to see like a 0.5 of yourself ever when you look up, and it's just kind of weird to have it anywhere outside of the bathroom, because the bathroom is usually the place that you touch up and like fix yourself, and people that usually do that and try to stand outside of the fountain while everyone is trying to get a drink of water just kind of like ruins the purpose of the fountains, in my opinion.
On the other hand, for admin, this new change has been working. And although they are always willing to hear out students and their needs, the numbers have been speaking for themselves, and this change is probably here to stay.
We're always responsive to what students want. Now, understanding students' complaints compared to realistic kind of expectations, is it a big change? Yeah. Are people going to be uncomfortable, maybe upset about it? Probably. But if we start looking at the numbers, which, it's only been 3 days of school, but numbers-wise, kids are in and out of the bathrooms already more efficiently than they were. So we're always responsive as a staff to what kids' needs and their concerns. But as far as just saying, hey, kids are complaining, we're going to put them back in because the kids are complaining, not unless there's just a dire need for it. We feel like this is the best direction for Johnson High School as a whole.
Although some students may not entirely agree with this change, they do agree that the mirrors have caused issues in the restrooms.
It's just like really packed when I go in there, like with the mirrors. It's like really packed, and then I just see girls like looking at themselves. I get that. And it's like really, like there's a lot of people in the restroom, and some people like have to go in the restroom and some people can't because it's too packed.
And if you're wondering, yes, there are still restrooms on campus with mirrors still in place.
We're not inhumane. We wanted to give y'all some of the freedom and privacy too, especially because those cafeterias are high traffic places. I understand kind of the middle of the day, maybe you do need to retouch up a makeup or something like that. So having that lunch spot was something that we considered. Also, the cafeteria, even down here in like the B wing, is places where some of our parents come, or we use those facilities for outside events, not just during the school day. So people coming in or touring the facilities, it's not, you know, they're used more than just outside the school time. So we felt like that was an okay place to keep the mirrors up because of the access that they have, not just during the school day, but all around.
So for now, mirrors will stay located outside the restrooms.
No, we're trying to make like I said, this is an awesome place. We are the only A high school in Northeast, so we're trying to make it the best way we can and keep it that way.
For JAG TV, this is Laura Andrade. Texas students and teachers are adapting to a new statewide ban on phones and other electronic devices. We spoke with faculty and students to see how everyone is managing. Bennett Brownell has more.
In case you've been living under a rock, a new state law has changed the way Texas students experience school. According to campus admin, the goal is to help reduce distractions and help students focus.
It's my understanding that legislators were hearing a lot of complaints from both school districts and parents about students being distracted at school by their phones, and that impacting their academic performance, as well as just maybe taking a toll on their mental health to some degree.
Despite other districts like San Antonio ISD and Alamo Heights ISD prohibiting devices entirely, any ISD students are still allowed to use devices during lunch and passing periods.
So it pertains to any personal electronic communication device, which covers a lot of things, but of course cell phones, AirPods, earbuds, a gaming device, even a tablet or like a Kindle, personal laptop, a Chromebook, any of those things would be covered.
Even teachers have mixed feelings about this new state law.
I think it's also had a positive effect on getting the students to use their social skills and talk to each other instead of like just checking out and going back into their individual world. There's been a very big negative effect with my students who are beginning to learn English. Before, it was easy to use the Google Translate Lens feature to translate primary sources, for example, from English into their first language.
And of course, for students, the reaction has been mixed as well. Some have little to no issue with the ban, while others find it to be disruptive and annoying.
I was very confused because some of the things we do in class, we have to use our phones. Like today, for example, I had Canva and I wasn't able to upload some photos in order for my project. So I was just a little startled at first.
I think that I'm probably a little bit more focused just because it's not like the expectation. Like everyone knows that I'm not going to be able to be on my phone, so I don't feel like I have to check it at all, but I don't think it's like a crazy amount.
Despite these mixed reactions, the feedback from both students and faculty has been surprisingly positive.
Well, it's interesting just in talking to students and teachers this week, everyone's actually been really positive about it. And I know teachers feel like students are able to be more engaged, and students say they're actually talking to their classmates now, you know, which maybe the last few years hadn't done as much of that.
Similarly, Senate Bill 12 has generated a lot of community reaction.
I think the biggest thing that people have probably heard about is school employees cannot discuss social transitioning, gender identity, or sexual orientation with a student at all, which kind of leads to the whole legal name thing, you know, and only being allowed to call students by either all or part of their legal name.
For JAG TV, this is Bennett Brownell reporting.
And there are some new policies that probably haven't gotten as much attention as the cell phone ban, but impact students as much. Juliet has that story.
Also new for this year, you can now be counted tardy to lunch. According to campus admin, this policy was made to help reduce students wandering the halls and being in places they shouldn't during all lunch periods.
It definitely has affected me because my mom, she doesn't want me to be late to any of my classes, and she's always worried about me like educationally. So I always try to get to my classes on time.
Some students who have classes that are far from the cafeteria may be worried about getting marked tardy, but if you are around the cafeteria, you won't be marked tardy. For students coming back to lunch from another class, make sure to have a pass from that teacher so you won't be marked tardy. Lunch tardies are also like regular tardies and could count against you.
So at 3 tardies, we start reminding kids that they're starting to stack up. When you get to 7 tardies, then you start getting your lunch detention, and then every 7 after that, there's a different consequence. So the big thing is, as you remember, like tardies count for all your classes combined, not just every specific period.
At the state level, the Texas legislature also passed House Bill 6 that is supposed to empower teachers' disciplinary actions in the classroom. Teachers can request students that are disruptive be removed from their class. So what constitutes a disruption worthy of removal?
I would guess it would be something that's a persistent misconduct. A student that consistently is making bad choices in class, maybe the teachers talk to that student, maybe has contacted parents, and this is kind of a last resort. That would be my guess of what this situation will look like in the future.
There is a campus committee that will oversee specific cases going forward if a teacher ever needs this process. For JAG TV, this is Juliet Tapia.
And another move by the state legislature, all public school classrooms could be required to display the 10 Commandments. Here's Riley with that story.
In May of 2025, Governor Greg Abbott signed legislation requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in Texas classrooms. Now, as of August 20th, NEISD has become one of 11 school districts in Texas to block the requirement after a group from Dallas challenged the bill.
I don't agree with it because separation of church and state and it's kind of pushing beliefs on people.
The case was brought up by a Dallas group of parents and faith leaders, arguing the requirement would violate the separation of church and state and their First Amendment right to freedom of religion. Prior to the ruling, the law was to go into place September 1st.
We were informed by admin that there was a new state law in which a display of the 10 Commandments would be required in all classrooms, and so we were told that once they got more information about how that was going to be sort of implemented, that we would be informed of that.
A similar Texas law was passed in 2021 requiring schools to display an In God We Trust sign on campus if donated or purchased with private funds. Next to the clinic elevator, the sign can be seen. As of right now, litigation states the 10 Commandment signs must be accepted if donated. However, the 10 Commandments have to follow a set of guidelines to be displayed.
Of all the different things that's going on, that's the one that we've kind of had less guidance on. But what we do know is if a group is to donate them, that's when we would post them up or whatever, as long as they meet the requirements of the certain size and all that stuff.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said the state would appeal to the most recent ruling as this continues to play out in court. Texas is the second state after Louisiana where it is required to display the 10 Commandments.
I mean, I'm a Christian, of course, and I follow the 10 Commandments and stuff, but also we're in a place to learn, not religion, just learning.
For JAG TV, this is Riley Shosh.
And like Riley reported, the Texas Attorney General is appealing the court's current decision that affects NEISD. Next up, here's Kellen and Max with JAG Sports.
We're not even a month into the school year, but it's time for JAG Sports to get you some early results from volleyball and football.
We catch up with athletic director and coach of the football team, TP Miller, and some rapid recall with defensive end Jaden Bell.
First up, volleyball has been in tournaments so far, including the Volleypalooza last week, but tomorrow they'll take on Steele at Steele High School.
And on August 28th, the Jags had their first regular season game against the Judson Rockets.
Next up, the Jags will head south to San Diego, Texas to take on McAllen High School. Then a quick bye until finally they begin district play at the end of September, where they will take on Northside of Brandeis. And Coach TP Miller says the Jags are ready for the season.
Yeah, I think the experience. We have experienced athletes that are returning, so whenever the lights turn on Friday night, Thursday night, Saturday, it won't faze them. So they've carried that strength and experience and kind of prepared all the underclassmen that'll be the first year on varsity. So the experience is key.
Now it's time for Rapid Recall this week featuring senior athlete Jaden Bell.
My name is Jaden Bell. What sport would you play if you didn't play football? Basketball. What's your favorite TV show? Also the Avengers. What's your favorite movie? The Polar Express. What do you like to do in your free time? I like to work out and sometimes run. What sport are you the worst at? Baseball. What's your favorite food? Jump off of it. What's your least favorite food? Spaghetti. What's your favorite animal? White lion. What's your favorite video game? My go-to killer. What's your favorite class? Government. What's your least favorite class? Math. What's your favorite holiday? Christmas. If you had an unlimited supply of anything, what would it be? Gummy bears. What's your dream vacation? Dubai. Who's your celebrity crush? Lotto. What's the coolest thing you've ever done? Go across the ocean with a boat.
Finally, every season starts with Meet the Jags. Here's some highlights from this year's annual event. That's it for this week. We will see you back here next time for more JAG action.
Some of these local places.
Located across the street from Johnson, in the space once occupied by a Dunkin' Donuts, is a new cafe, Parlor Donuts. The cozy shop serves everything from donuts and sandwiches to coffee and teas. And while the drive-thru is still under construction, the cafe is open from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and is accommodating to gluten sensitivities. However, if you're looking for donuts and kolaches under $3, Grand Donuts is right off of Bulverde Road. Open from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. during the school week, Grand Donuts is the perfect place to grab a quick breakfast and a drink with blueberry, lavender, or even tiger milk. And if it's too early for a sweet pastry, Los Bolitos is right across the street from Parlor Donuts on TPC. The taco shop has specials every Tuesday and breakfast plates, tacos, and burritos. Well, you don't want to be caught in tardy roundup. At least make sure you don't go hungry.
For more updates before our next show, be sure to follow us on Instagram and JAG Student Media or on our YouTube at JAG TV. That's all for this week, JAG. See you next time.